Let's move on for the second thing. So now you start with a goal. My suggestion, have a goal before you even choose what event to go to. Then when you have an event, make sure that you know what you're going to get. How many of you are coming to the Business Bootcamp this weekend? You've been there already. You know what it is. Come with a goal in front. Know what your goal is. You can change your goal during the days. So if you found your answer in the first session already, then change the goal. It's okay. You don't have to get stuck with it. But don't just come and, oh, let's see. I mean, the information will be great, I hope. I mean, I'm changing a little bit the training, so it will have a little bit of a twist. But the networking opportunity are fantastic during breaks and everything. So make sure that you know what you're going to get out of it. Okay? There is not a lot of events like that in Holland that you have these chances. But now we need to get into meeting people. And that's for some people, again, it's very easy, and for some people it's not so easy. So the next part is more to help those people that it's not so easy, in order to get you into conversation or in order to get you to start the conversation. Okay, so the next exercise is actually very, very good for introverts, to start a conversation. Okay, what's the best way to start any conversation? Ask a question, right? Ask a question. And I want to introduce you to this concept of asking, because I found it in any kind of relationship, but especially in networking, it's really, really valuable when you learn to ask questions, but to ask the right questions in order to get from there enough information that supports you both to help that person and to help yourself. So this is a little bit about asking questions, and I'll give you that in a moment. But before that, I want to move to the extrovert, before you just kind of check out and say, oh, I don't need that because I'm very easy in conversating. Yeah, that's a problem. Because you're so easy talking, then usually what you're doing, you don't notice it, I'm sure, but you're talking all the time, especially if you're talking with an introvert. The introvert will be happy to give you the stage to talk all the time. But when you talk, it's very hard to get anything in. Now, the funny thing is that as extrovert, you already know what you have to say. You have said that so many times, so you're not contributing to yourself anything new. So my suggestion is that you also learn how to ask questions, because that's an easy tool to get you off the extrovert and allowing the other person to talk and see how you can support them and how they can support you. Does that make sense? So questions. It's a great way to start a conversation, but also to continue a conversation or to pick up a conversation that started and went down somewhere. And I'm going to give you a few questions that I really like. Okay? All you have to do is, those are 6 or 7 questions, all you have to do is to remember them, and next time, just use them appropriately. Not all of them are appropriate in every time. Sometimes the order is important, but just to help you. Okay? The first question is easy. Everybody asks that in every networking event, and it's a valuable question. Okay? And that's... What is it? What's the question? What do you do? Yes, what do you do? Okay, we're talking about business networking. What do you do? And I'll give you in a moment a chance to practice that. How many of you know how to answer what do you do because you learned it from me? All right, a few of you. That's going to come later, so all of you will know how to answer that. So now it will be fun to send you all to, to talk to people, ask what you do and see what people answer. It will give you a context to what I'm going to tell a little bit later. So what do you do is the first question. The second question, which is really, really important when we're talking about business networking, is who is your target audience? Who is your target audience? This question, when you ask it and when you get an answer, you get lots and lots of valuable information about the other person. First of all, if the other person says everybody, or any kind of every woman, every teenage, every whatever it is, you know one thing about them. That they don't have a clue, right? That they don't have a clue, which is good to know, because imagine that you're looking for a business partner, okay? And you ask him, so, who's your target audience? Oh, everybody. Well, maybe it's not the best business partner. Or you're looking for somebody that can help you in marketing. And he's saying, well, I'm a marketing expert. So who's your target audience? Well, every business. Okay. Let me move on. Okay? Nice to meet you, yes. But seriously, that gives you some information. Okay, that's give you some information. It's like you're going on a date and you ask the other person, well, who did you sleep with? Everybody. I mean, it gives you some information for both sides, right? It gives you some information, valuable information. So it's good to listen. It's really good to listen to what people say. But most of the time, when you confront people with this kind of question, they will usually try to give you an answer. So if they've been to our events, they will be a bit more focused, or they learned it somewhere else. Otherwise, they will just say, well, I'm working more with elderly women. Okay. Now you know something about them, which is important, because maybe you can support them. Maybe you can also see where it's the connection. I always like to see where are the people who they're working with. Because if other people can be in totally different area, like my clothes designer, Edgar, he's working a lot with top entrepreneurs and top managers, to create for them the right image using clothes. That's important for me. If he would work with, drag queens, that would be his target audience, then I'm not going to become his client very soon, maybe in my free time, but not on a business function. You understand what I'm saying? So by getting this information, who they work with, you first can know how can I help that person. Maybe I can connect them to somebody, but you can also know where is the entrance for you to do something together. So I find it a very valuable question. What is your target market? The next one is, I really love this question, is what do you love the most about what you do? It's a personal question. You might not want to shove it as the first question when you just meet somebody. But when you ask that question, you get very personal with the person. And what happens when you ask people, what is it that you love about what you do? You get the passion out. And I learn a lot from that. When I want to see how energetic a person is, how enthusiastic they are, how much zest for life they have, how passionate what they're doing, I will ask this question. It's crucially important for me. For example, if I'm working with a graphic designer, this is all new design. It's fresh from the printer. I want that the graphic designer will be so passionate about it. I want him to fight me on what's the right design, how to brand it the right way and everything. I don't want him to be just, oh yeah, I like what I do, It's nice doing graphic design. I'm sitting in front of the computer all day. I don't have to go out so much, and that's what I like about what I do. Well, work with somebody else. But if what you love to is taking a business owner like me that thinks that he knows everything, but just being able to show them that by using the right color, the right shape, or whatever it is, or the right logo, you can get a different. Bas was telling me, I asked him, how do you like that? And Bas from the video this morning, I didn't see that. He says, not so much. I said, why not? He says, well, it goes away from the corporate that you wear, with the blue and the purple and everything. I says, great. So, that's what we're looking for. Because we were working with the new branding and we said, how do we want to differentiate ourselves? The last thing we want is to be corporate. But this person needs to fight me on that and to be passionate about it for me to want to work with them. So this asking, what do you like about what you do, again, gives me a lot of information. And it also creates a very strong bond many times. A person that you didn't know at all, and I'll give you a chance to do that in a moment. So you'll meet a person that you don't know at all and you ask him, what do you like about what you do? When you see them getting into their passion, suddenly there's a connection. Because we love meeting people that are passionate. Would you agree? Yes. Beautiful question. Next one. What's new in your business? What's new in your business or in your industry or in your market? What's new in your business? And this is a question that you will very rarely hear. It's a very valuable information. I learn a lot. Now, I'm in marketing, so that's good for me to know what people are doing in their businesses, in other businesses, just to learn from that. But it can be in anything. You just see how people react, how people learn, how people are eager to learn something new. How much are they informed about what's happening? How much are they expert? The more a person is an expert, the more they are busy with what is new. You understand what I'm saying? They will have more new stuff in their business that they want to share about. Oh, you wouldn't believe what the new system in order how to heal a headache. I mean, I couldn't care less. But they're really enthusiastic about this, that there's new in development or whatever, and you can, again, meet the person in a very, very different way. So what's new in your business? And you can learn a lot about the industry. And I love learn from other industries because what works in another industry, when I bring it to my industry that it was not used before, usually is very successful. Just to give you an example of how powerful it works, we brought this whole accelerated learning system to Holland. It's already existing in the States for many, many years. I mean, it was developed in Europe, but it's big in the States for many, many years. I mean, Tony Robbins and all these people are doing it for 30 years. But we were the first ones to really bring it big into Holland. And at the beginning, everybody told us it will never work. The Dutch people will never accept it. They will hate it. And, raising hands and clapping and doing all this stuff. And I say, I understand that. I don't like it personally either. But this is working in another industry, or in that case, in another market. If I'll bring it here, I'll be different. And different is good. And we did that, and we took a risk, but it worked fantastic. That's what allowed us to create these big events. Okay, so asking somebody else what's new in your business, your industry, your locale, can bring you a lot of information that you can use. Does that make sense? I will give you in a moment a chance to practice that, so you will see how that works. So that's the fourth question. The fifth question is, what is the biggest challenge for you in your business? What's the biggest challenge for you or your business? Why do we want to ask this kind of a question? I mean, it's quite personal, isn't it? Why would you like to ask what is your biggest challenge? To find out what the problem is, so what? For what? Guys, are you participating or are you asleep? So you can find ways to help them. Networking is about building relationship. The easiest way to build a relationship is by being the first one to offer something, to offer help, support. We'll talk about it a little bit later. Okay, so if you know what's the challenge, you know how to help them, or I know somebody that might be able to help you. Now, the phrasing of this question is important. I know that you're translating that into Dutch, but keep it to challenge, to an uitdaging, and don't ask them what is your biggest problem. Because if you ask them what's your biggest problem, you're going to hear about their problems. And the problem, usually people come from the victim position, and they will start with the taxes and the government and the weather and the wife and everything. And you don't want that. I mean, trust me. Unless you get paid for that. Otherwise, ask them about the challenge. It's coming more from responsibility. Does that make sense? Yes. So that was the fifth question. The sixth question, what sets you apart from your competition? What sets you apart from your competition? Well, the way we're doing it is we're doing big events. We're not working the small events, and the personal attention. We do big events. We get lots of people to get the energy and to energize and to support each other. And that's one of the things that differentiates us from our competition. What we're doing is we're doing stuff with high energy, instead of sitting and watching slides all day. What separates us from the competition is that we actually care about people. So if the competition would be Tony Robbins, and when you see Tony Robbins on stage, I don't know if you ever saw that, as soon as his session goes, he disappears. He's kind of poofed into the air. He has those bodyguards that takes him away, and you'll never meet him. And if you want a picture with Tony Robbins, I think the last rate was $500. Yeah, okay? Well, what separates me from this kind of competition is when the break is starting, I'm sitting here, and I will sit here for the whole break talking to you, as long as you want. Okay, so those are the things that separates me, and I will be proud to share that. So people, it's not a problem. People are afraid to ask this kind of question. People will be happy to share, but then you learn about who they are. You learn about who that person is, and it is building relationship this way, and is this person a person I want to work in the future together, or to find ways, or to trust that person or not. So it's very, very good question, I think, for that. And the last question I like is, why did you start your business? It's a personal question. I wouldn't start with it. If I don't know this person, the first question will be, no, hi, my name is Nisander. Why did you start your business? Okay, it sounds a little bit accusing. But it's a good question because it brings the reason, the old fresh stuff, old fresh, that's a funny way to say that. But what was fresh once? The reason why the person started. Well, the real reason why I started this business is because I wanted to be a rock star, but I have no music. So that's a chance. It's a different way of being a rock star. I don't do that anymore for the rock star, but that was a good reason. I can talk about it forever. Or I can talk about the fact that I wanted to really help people. Or I can talk about the fact that I was in my relationship, in my one-on-one relationship, I was very good in helping my girlfriends at that time, that was my clients at that time, my girlfriend, to transform their life, to change, to become a better person. I helped them become a better person. And at one point I was in this meditation in India, and I got this vision that it's enough to do that one-on-one. I need to help more people to transform. So I can share with you really in detail all the story and all the vision that I had and everything. It gets people excited again. I remember the story that I really like to share is I had an event many years ago, and at one point this older guy came to me and we chatted in the break, and at one point I asked him, so why did you start this business? Because he had this security company, and he was already in his 70s, I think. And I asked him, so why did you start this business? And he's opening his wallet, and he's showing me this little kind of tiny little black and white photo from the 40s probably, or before. And he showed me those two people, one small one, one big one. And he says, you see the small one? That's me. See the big one? That's Prince, whatever the prince was at that time. And King Bernard, whatever it is. When he was young, I was his bodyguard, his first bodyguard. And I worked for him for this amount of years, whatever it is. And when I retired from that work, I asked him if he could help me start a new business. And he asked me, what do you want to start? And he says, I want to start a bodyguard, kind of a company. He says, I'll give you your first LinkedIn recommendation, kind of, huh? The first endorsement. And that's how he started the business, and he was so proud about it and sharing it and everything. People like to do it, and then you see a real person there, not anymore a persona that was created for an event. Does that make sense?